Welcome back to the Medical Weight Loss Show. I'm your host, Dr. Andrea Walker, family nurse practitioner with my DNP and IFBB Pro bodybuilder. Someone who's passionate about blending science and real life results. Today, revisiting a topic that I did a podcast episode on probably last year sometime, but it's a topic that's helped millions but still causes a lot of confusion. GLP-1 medication drugs like semaglutide and tirzepatide, and why, for so many people, the weight comes back after stopping them. So many people just really don't understand how they work. If you've ever wondered, why do I feel hungrier again? Or did I mess up somehow? You are not alone. Let's break it all down. And just so you know, I've owned a weight loss clinic since 2017. At the time of this recording, it is 2025, late 2025. I now have a clinic in Florida, and I also have one in Memphis, Tennessee. And I've had several patients. Patients will come in and they'll say, I only want to be on this for a couple of months. I also get patients that are way more realistic, and they will say, I understand that this is a chronic medication and it is a lifestyle med. And then I will get patients that will say, I don't want to be on this forever. I'm going to take it until I get my goal weight, and then I'm going to stop. I listen to them all, and I will try to talk to them all. Some I know that there is really no discussing. If they're only going to want to be on it for a month or two, honestly, it's probably a waste of money unless they do understand that, yes, you can lose those 5 or 10 pounds. And yes, they will come right back. And if you're okay with that, then I'm okay with that. But honestly, these meds are just like blood pressure meds. The majority of people who start blood pressure meds, guess what? Their blood pressure goes down as long as they are taking them. And when they talk to their doctor or they come into, the ER, I used to work in the ER, and they will say, well, I don't have high blood pressure now because I take my medications. And that is the key. They don't have high blood pressure because they take their medications. But for the majority of those patients, guess what would happen? If they stop taking their medications, their blood pressure would go up. That's not true for everybody. There's this thing called lifestyle change. And that's what I try to stress. So, same thing with the GLP-1 medications. What the GLP-1 medications actually do. I'll give you a little background information. GLP-1 stands for glucagon like peptide 1, which is a naturally occurring hormone in the gut. Its job is to help regulate. It regulates the appetite and satiety, which is how you stay fuller for longer. It regulates insulin and blood sugar, and also the speed of digestion. When we give GLP-1 as a medication, like semaglutide or tirzepatide, we're basically amplifying the body's natural hormone response. This means you feel fuller faster, you eat less because of the food noise. Those constant cravings and thoughts about food, it quiets down. That's what food noise is. And your blood sugar stays more stable, regardless of diabetes or no diabetes. So, it's not just an appetite suppressant. It's a hormonal reset for how your body responds to food and hunger cues. That's why it works so wonderful. So, imagine when you stop taking it. Guess what? Here's the part many people don't realize. GLP-1 medications do not permanently change your hormone levels. They work while you're taking them. But when you stop, your GLP-1 levels return to baseline. That means appetite and hunger signals return, food noise can creep back in, and without intentional habits in place, old patterns resurface. As I mentioned, like blood pressure medication. Blood pressure medicines control your blood pressure as long as you're taking them. That's why your blood pressure is normal. But once you stop, those numbers tend to rise again unless you've made major lifestyle changes. So, this is one of the reasons why when my patients come into the office or I'm doing a telehealth visit, I try to stress diet and exercise. So, it's not that the medication failed, because many times people will say, oh, I did such and such diet, or I did this particular medication and it didn't work. It's just that our biology reverts back to its set point. And this is especially true for people with a history of obesity or metabolic resistance. Now, let's talk about food noise and brain chemistry. So, a lot of people really didn't know what the word food noise was. It is a fairly new coined word. That constant chatter in your mind about food. What am I eating next? Or I need something sweet. GLP-1s act on areas of the brain like the hypothalamus and reward centers to turn down those signals. When you stop, those circuits can wake up again, especially if you're under stress, sleep deprived, or eating high glycemic foods, which is many of us. This is why people say, I didn't even realize how loud my food thoughts were until the medication stopped. I've had many people, they will quote, feel that they plateaued, or maybe they have, which means their weight is not moving. They've been taking the medicines for the past couple of months and nothing's happening with their weight. So, of course, they will stop taking the medications. But guess what? It doesn't take long and the weight starts to creep up. Then they realize, well, I guess the medicine was doing something. It may not have been helping them to continue to lose weight. Initially, it did cause weight loss, but then the weight stopped coming off. However, it kept them from gaining more weight until they stopped taking the medicine. So, these medications are very powerful and they do work. Sometimes they don't work as fast as, patients want them to, but they do work. So, again, this is why it is super, super important to think about maintenance dosing, as well as I understand that not everybody wants to stay on a medication forever. Totally understand that. But listen to your providers for those who talk to you about diet and exercise and key ways to try to keep the weight off long term. So, which is what I will talk about. You need a transition plan and a foundation beyond the medication. So, here are some key strategies: strength training to preserve muscle mass. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. The more muscle you have, the more fat you will burn, and of course, you will lose weight. You want to always incorporate a high protein nutritional diet. Protein supports satiety and metabolic rate. You want consistent meal timing. You really want to avoid grazing and you want to stabilize the blood sugar. So if you can try to eat, every couple of hours, and I know taking the GLP-1s, sometimes that can be a little bit more difficult, but try to, have consistent meal timing. And then sleep and stress management, so important. Both affect hunger hormones like ghrelin and cortisol. Try your best to get at least 7 hours of sleep. 8 is even better. And then try your best to manage your stress levels so you can keep your cortisol levels low. And then possible peptide support. Some patients can transition to peptides like CJC, ipamorelin, or oral semaglutide maintenance plans. I always tell my patients that maybe like the oral semaglutide or tirzepatide may be effective when you get to a maintenance dose. That's just my personal thoughts and opinions. I like those more so for maintenance dose as opposed to just trying to lose weight from the beginning with those. But that's just my thoughts. But the goal is really not dependency, it's metabolic healing. So I'm not saying you have to stay on these medications forever. However, if you know that you are not trying to make a true lifestyle change, you are not trying to change your diet as well as, working out, then you might want to consider trying to reach your goal weight and then doing more of a maintenance. I have discussed maintenance dosing before. You can do micro dosing. You can go back to some of my old podcast episodes and listen to that. But just know that coming, cold turkey off these medications without some type of plan in place, I don't recommend it. And I've talked to patients who've done that, even when they thought they had a plan in place, even with diet and nutrition. Just think about what I just said, what the medication does. For some people, it almost doesn't matter what you do because the medications, they cause a hormonal reset. And for some people, without that hormonal reset, you're just going to gain weight. I was speaking with a patient and she was like, I thought I did everything right. But guess what? The food noise came back. Without that medication in her system, the food noise was going to come back no matter what. So, just something to keep in mind. Don't set yourself up for failure. Keep an open mind. These medications, when they were designed for chronic medications. I don't believe there was anywhere that it said short term, must be on for three months or 6 months and then discontinue. Or can only be on for 3 months, 6 months, or a year and discontinue. But here's the real takeaway. GLP-1 medications are not a quick fix. They are a tool and a very effective one to help you reset your relationship with food, improve insulin sensitivity, and give your body the break it needs to build sustainable habits. But when you come off them, that's when coaching, mindset, and lifestyle become your medicine. So don't beat yourself up if you feel hunger return. It's biology. The key is to plan ahead and support your metabolism before, during, and after treatment. And again, keep in mind there is such a thing as maintenance dosing as well as microdosing. If this episode helped you understand GLP-1 medications and coming off of them a little better, share it with a friend who's on this journey too. And remember, your medication can help you start the process, but your habits will carry you to the finish line. Thanks for listening to the Medical Weight Loss Show. Until next time, stay consistent, stay encouraged, and keep investing in your health. One day, one habit, and one choice at a time. Don't forget the meal prep, drink your water, and make sure you work out if you can. Have a wonderful week.